So you might be here because you are yourself looking to plan a vacation. You planned a vacation and you realize, whew, I did not account for all of this. There were some logistical issues, some little things. So for the next time you just want to plan better, or you're just interested in seeing some, what does she have to say? Welcome back to the Trini Will Travel. Today we'll be discussing a beginner's guide on how to plan a vacation. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Keisha, and on this channel you will find tips, travel and travel related content. So if you're interested in experiencing travel from a Caribbean perspective, then be sure to subscribe so you don't miss when I post a video. And without further ado, let's get into how to plan a vacation. Planning a vacation may seem like a daunting task. Now, don't get me wrong, it sometimes can be, but once in the right headspace with some time, it will all work out. And trust me, having planned a few vacations, planned a few trips, these are some of the main considerations I find myself thinking about when planning a vacation, and which kind of like guides how the vacation will go in terms of making a decision. Now, these are not steps, as they are in no way incremental, but these are the considerations that help guide me no matter the destination. The first, I guess the typical thing, I actually was not going to include it in the list, but I guess I would still include it just for as a beginner planning. It's something that you do need to consider. So one of the considerations is, of course, your budget. How much are you willing to spend? How much do you want to spend? Like, what we going for? We all start off with a range in mind. I know when I was planning my first trip, I wanted to spend about like $3,000 to $3,500. So the different places I was looking at, taking all the other things I will discuss later on in the video into consideration, this is how much I was willing to spend. So although I may have wanted to go on to destination A, because of my budget, I had to settle for destination B. So your budget kind of sets a base, I guess, for what you want to do, what you'll be able to do, what you won't be able to do. So of course, budget is always an important factor. And from once you start doing research, you will see what could be done, what can be done. Are you willing to adjust your budget to get what you want, or is it something that you will save for another time? So of course, budget is always important. For my Trimbagonian viewers, I would say about $3,000 to $5,000 is always a good range for about a nice short 2 to 3 day trip, and accommodation, all of those things included. I think that's a good range that you could look at. Once you start to go further outside of the US, even within the Caribbean, honestly, you could start to look upwards of $8,000 to $10,000 depending on where you're looking at. So of course, budget is a consideration, but for me, it's always what's the vibe. So that's actually the next consideration. What is the vibe? Is it relaxation? Are you going for shopping? Are you going for adventure? Like, asking these questions helps guide the decisions that you have to make again in planning a vacation. What's the vibe? Are you going with friends? Are you going with family? Are you going with your partner? These things are important. Next, where to? So as I mentioned, depending on your budget, depending on the vibe, destination A may not be best, destination B may be better. So where to? Unless I need to be at a particular destination for a particular time, my main consideration is always cost. So I'm looking to get the best experience for the most reasonable amount of money. So if I have to, if I have to pay $10,000, and this is in no way the cost, but if I have to pay $10,000 to get to the Maldives to spend 2 or 3 days versus paying $6,500 to go to Barbados for a week or 2 weeks, like, I'll choose Barbados and get a lot more for my money, or a lot more bang for the buck. But anyway, point, unless I have a specific destination or specific time period, I am open to the best location for the cost. And this is where SkyScanner comes in. If you didn't see that video, it's linked here, I think. It's linked here for my top 5 travel planning apps. But the feature that I love about SkyScanner is the explore everywhere. So I just put in my destination, my departure airport, and I explore everywhere. I explore open dates, and I just see where has the best price, what's the dates I'm looking at. And honestly, my toxic trait is that I book my flights before putting in requests for leave, and there, I said it. Okay, that is my toxic trait. But back to the point, cost is important. Also for SkyScanner, if you want to take vacation for a particular time period, you could put in the departure airport, put in the date ranges that you're looking at, and again, it shows you a list of destinations in my favorite sorting order from lowest to highest. So that can guide you in making a decision, knowing that, hey, this is a destination that I could go to for this period of time. I like how the flight prices are looking, etc. I also have a video, the cheapest Caribbean destinations from Trinidad. If you want to see that blog, it's linked below in the description directly to the post. I'll probably make a video about it as well, depending on the type of content you prefer to see, if it's video, if it's text. I have both. If you have your heart set on a particular destination, also in the SkyScanner app, you can put in departure airport, the arrival airport, and then see the best time to go for the best price. So it's versatile. You can work like that. Again, it's about doing research. So that's a main part. You have to do your research. So the next consideration is accommodation. Now, depending on the destination, this is always the most expensive expense on a trip, accommodation. So, unless you're going to a place where you have accommodation, which no shame in a game, I do it. If I could go to a place and I have free accommodation, like, it just makes it all the better, since accommodation is not a cost that I have to factor in. But accommodation is an important factor, and not just about where you'll be sleeping, but especially when you're planning your vacation for yourself, the location of the accommodation is important. So it's not just, hey, I found a place for $20 a night, or I found a place for $35 a night. The location of the destination can make or break your trip. So let's just say, and again, it ties into the other thing. So again, the vibe. So if your vibe was to go partying, exploring, and you book a accommodation that is like 40 minutes away, there's no public transportation, and we'll talk about that as well. There's no public transportation. Actually, we'll bring it all together in the end. So anyway, the accommodation also ties into what's the vibe. Let's say your vibe is relaxation. You want to take a break from the hustle and bustle of life. You want to choose a nice, comfortable spot away, secluded, away from the hustle and bustle. If it's a romantic getaway, depending on, again, what's your vibe. If you're adventure seekers, you might want something more acquainted with nature. If you want service amenities to relax, like, what's the vibe, please. If you're not going to be there much, your accommodation, you just want somewhere to sleep, you don't want to spend too much, you want it to be in a easily accessible location. These are the things to take into consideration. So sometimes it's always not just, oh, this is the cheapest place, but you also need to consider the other things that tie into your vacation. Also, like, okay, if you want to go somewhere to explore the place, you want to be out every day, you won't book a place with all-inclusive, because you won't be at the hotel to enjoy, one, the money that you spent, two, all the delicious food that they have. So yeah. But this brings me to the next point, what to do. Now, I am a person, I don't plan everything down to the T. I am not 9 a.m. breakfast, 10 a.m. leave, 10:30 be at this place, 12:30 be at this place. There are persons who can do this and do it successfully, but it can also be stressful, especially when you make plans and things don't always go as planned, and you don't want, especially if you want to enjoy a vacation, you don't want to be disappointed. This didn't go as planned, so then the rest of your day is ruined, depending on your attitude. But I like to have a general idea. Sometimes I go with nothing in mind. I'll just figure it out as I go. But there's some locations or destinations that you go to, and there are certain things that you do want to do. Sometimes you might not know. You can explore to see what there is to do. And also, as I said, like for me, I think everything ties into what's the vibe. So depending on what's the vibe, that would guide what I want to do. So if the vibe is adventure, I know, like say it's St. Lucia, if the vibe is adventure, I know I want to explore. I want to go to the Pitons, I want to go to Soufrière, I want to go to the beaches in Gros Islet. Like, look for the things that you want to do, so then you could see it in relation to the accommodation. What transportation is available? Would you have to rent a car? Which again brings me to the next point. Transportation. What mode of transportation would you be using during your trip? Now, depending on the location, sometimes you may have to rent a car, although you don't want to. You may have to rent a car, which is another expense. Some destinations are well connected so that you don't have to really worry about transportation. Some locations, while they are connected on the outskirts, it's not as easy to get from the airport to your accommodation or destination. For example, St. Lucia. St. Lucia is small, but you can't just walk out the airport and be happy. There are other destinations where if you take the taxi, it's exorbitant prices for no reason. So in St. Lucia, if you just arrive in St. Lucia and you want to take a taxi, you are looking at $100 US to take a taxi to go maybe 20-30 minutes away. And it's like, what? For me, I know I was able to book it before and I paid probably 20 or 40 US, but these are the things to consider so you don't end up in spending money that you want to spend on other things for things that you don't want to spend money on at all. Of course, considering the means of transportation is very important. So putting everything together. When I'm speaking, it seems like I'm talking about everything, but that is why these considerations are important. So for the hotel, let's say for a destination like Miami, you get into Miami, but you want to have go to the Miami Strip. So it's called it South Beach. I can't even remember, y'all. So Miami Beach is not very close to where the airport is, but once you get to Miami Beach, you don't have to worry about transportation again. So thinking about your accommodation, yes, you can book your accommodation during your stay. You're going to be on that strip, so you can book accommodation in the vicinity of the strip, but you know that you need to organize your transport to and from the hotel. In an instance like that, instead of booking an Airbnb where you usually have to organize transport for yourself and more than likely you'll end up calling an Uber, I would look for a hotel that has shuttle service so that I know I'm paying the price for the hotel and I'm also going to get shuttle service to and from the airport, so that's not something that I have to worry about. And once I'm on the strip, I don't have to worry about transportation again. Versus if I'm going to a destination and I want a relaxing vibe, I want to explore, I want to be on my own timing, I know more than likely I could think about renting a car. And if I'm renting a car, I don't have to worry so much about the location of the accommodation as to the transport, like how I get in, where I need to go, etc. But you would also need to consider what you plan to do. So you wouldn't want to book if you want to, let's say you want to explore, you're not going to book a very, very, very secluded accommodation that takes you an hour to get out of before you even start your journey to what you want to do, because that's going to be tiring if you're out on the road every day. So if you just want to be away, secluded, you only come out once or twice to get groceries or something, and the accommodation is just perfect, you don't need to leave, you can do things like that. But if you want to explore, you still want a general kind of thingy thing. But those are, I believe, for me, the top 6 considerations to things to keep in mind when planning a vacation. Again, they're not steps. So when you're looking at accommodation, keep in mind, okay, what's the vibe? What do I want to do? What's the cost for everything else? And put all the costs together. Okay, do I want to spend this much to do this? Everything placed together, and over some time doing research, you will know, okay, if I'm looking at destination A, I'm looking at $3,500. If I'm looking at destination B, I'm looking at about $5,000, because again, different destinations require different things. So one destination accommodation may be cheaper than another place, but you may have to rent a car. Like, it's different things playing into one. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like the video. Let me know if there's anything else that you want me to cover that you may have related to travel. Comment them down below and I'll be sure to tackle it if it's something that I can address. But thank you guys so much for watching. I do really hope that this video was informative to you. Don't forget to subscribe. In this little bubble, if you touch this little bubble somewhere here, somewhere on this screen, you should be able to subscribe so that you don't miss a video from me when I post it, and click the notification bell for sure if you really don't want to miss it. You can see my video on my top 5 travel planning apps. If you watch this video, I think you may also find that video very helpful. And safe travels until next time.